Hello YouTube world. I just thought I'd make a video today talking about my depression. I think this video focus on the last 20 years, so the latest what I went through to where I am, basically. I am planning on a video to talk about my childhood and teenage years. It's just what they like I could bullet point a lot of them, but there's also a lot that needs to be gone into. Like I could bullet point major social issues because for elementary I went through 8 elementary schools and high schools. I went to middle and high schools. I went to 3 different ones. Like no, it's like severe social, like very very poor social skill development and through all that. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. Before we get into what I'm talking about today, remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. If because of the season, I know a lot of people have mental health issues, and if that's you, and if hearing somebody talking about their own depression is too tough for you, I understand. I'll see you in the next video, but if you want to hear me talk about mine and you do have mental health issues of your own, try and get some help. There is help out there. Unfortunately, here in Canada, we've made the news for some pretty wrong ways of helping people with mental health. But so I guess I'd start say back in 02 or 03. I came into a large chunk of money. My dad passed away. I received an inheritance from him, and basically right off the bat, my mom and my brother, like it's the age-old story of money. Like, you know who's really your friend and who really just wants something off you when you come into some money. So my mom, I didn't want to lend my brother any money, but my mom, for nearly a year after I got the money and I was trying to do my own thing with it, she was just constantly just give him. Just so I gave him a big chunk. I lent him a big chunk of money. I thought I lent him, but well, anyway. I'm going to go into it more, but long story short, if you want to try and skip ahead, is money and family do not mix. It's oil and water there. Just if you got money, try and avoid family and money. Like, anyway, so I ended up giving them a loan, and right afterwards, there was more things. Oh, he fucked up. He needs more money. And my mom would constantly be on my case to lend him some, and got my remote to try and get past those ads. I got a little bit royalty-free music playing in the background. So anyway, he got fined for, like, he started a moving business. He got fined for moving propane tanks without having proper hazmat certification, and all sorts of other stupid things. And my mental health, it was in a pretty poor state then to begin with, because I mentioned I've had depression since I was a young kid. Apparently I was first diagnosed at 9 years old. My mom talks about how she was told I had severe depression and was potentially suicidal, and that was in an age when doctors admitting children that young had severe mental health issues was pretty uncommon in itself. Okay, money and Adrian. So, where's my drink? There. So my mental health, I didn't really notice it. It was going down with the constant needling and needling at me to get to. So he called. My brother called out my mom one day, and it was probably '04 or something. And after a couple of years, he racked up a good chunk of money. He was like, "Oh, I'm in serious trouble. I really need help." And so I dropped out of college. I was in an IT course at the time, and I flew back over to Canada. I was living in Scotland, and I flew back over to Canada, helped him out, paid off his debts, convinced the people he'd gotten into to try and to not let him get into financial debt with them again. Um, okay, well, then we get into another little period where I bought a nice little property off of here in BC, in a place called the Sunshine Coast. I can't remember how. It was a really stupid idea, but my brother convinced me to let him start a grow up in there, and just became a shit show where he never paid rent, and the mortgage I had on it, almost came into lapse a couple of times. And by the time I managed to I managed to get him to kick him out of there. He basically trashed the place. It was the bad part of renters and stuff. So at that time, I was just coming to a total mental fray, and I snapped. Like the way my mom and my brother were treating me, I just couldn't handle it. Like I had some sort of mental breakdown, and I saw that the money was the problem. So I needed, in my mind, I needed to get rid of the money, and then my family would treat me better again. Well, I didn't have anyone in my life who would point me in, who even tried to point me in a healthier direction than that. So, yeah, I got into some hard drugs at the time, and it was with the intention of basically destroying the money. But I guess whatever. I made it out with no real physical scars, just a few emotional scars after that. Oh, kitty wants some attention. So after I had to move back in with my mom after the addiction. I still had the house, but it was I rented it out to somebody so they would for a lease, and they needed to run their time in it. So I was staying with my mom after the addiction settled, and it was only for a few months. Then I could get back. I got back into the house I had, and the tenant I had, they didn't leave it in the best condition, but it was a lot better than the way my brother left it. And okay, then my mom agreed to move in with me to that place. So I guess I'm thinking she kind of planted the idea that she would live with me to live with me then but it was some sort of help to try. It was help to try and keep that place. I can't I can try and question motives or whatever, but it was to help me. I guess in the long run, it was to help me try and keep that place. But I ended up selling it, and that's when I moved here onto Vancouver Island. into the city I'm currently in. And my mom wanted to move with me again. I don't quite know why, but so I was only a couple years away from that addiction, and I didn't really trust myself with a large sum of money. So I went in halvesies on a house with my mom, but I was my mom, so I trusted her, and I didn't insist on being on having my name on the title, which was a mistake. But and anyway, so I basically gifted her half the value of the house, which was about 80,000 Canadian dollars at the time, and I lived there. I lived there with her and we moved in there about October of '09. This is the most recent things there, and I found a job pretty not right away, but just part time stuff, and she had her deceased husband, her late husband, left a bunch of an old bookstore, the contents of an old bookstore, and so she was just selling books online to make odd money with her off against her pension, and we were doing it was all right. And so in about the middle to the end of 2010, I learned about this newfangled thing called Bitcoin, and it sounded pretty neat. I tried to convince my mom to remortgage the house, and so I could get a little bit of the money that was supposed to be mine out. And she was like, "Oh no, it doesn't sound very." She was an old lady. I didn't really blame her for saying no to like me just saying, "Oh, I want to do this." But so I spent about the next 6 months or so to a year making up a little presentation to her, so I could try and teach her about cryptocurrency and stuff. And no, and because of my depression, the cycles, when the cycles get really bad, I and end up losing the job I had. So anyway, things went on like that for a good few years until I eventually gave up on the idea of her. She'd actually helped me get into cryptocurrency, and that would have been around 2018-ish, 2019. But in the end, and then she came back, and my mom came to me and it's like, oh, my brother wants some money, so she's gonna remortgage the house and give him all I wanted. All through the years where I was asking her to help me get into crypto, I just wanted 10 grand so I could start mining or trading or whatever. But I can sour grapes it, or I can just whatever it. But so in that, at that moment, that really, that was a big mental crash for me. Basically, that was the moment I mourned the loss of my mom. I start emotionally, my mom was gone to me after that. So, and then when COVID hit, she started getting really sick. That was honestly, if anyone watching is taking care of someone in their elderly years, when they hit that downslide, it happens so fast. They just go from being not vibrant and moving around, but just they can move around and they could do stuff for themselves, but quite quickly they just go from basically bedbound. I don't think it always happens, but I've seen it happen to her, and ooh. Anyway, so she passed in about on Valentine's Day of 2021. That kind of cemented a negative opinion of Valentine's Day for me, because all throughout all throughout elementary school, when they did that, make a Valentine's Day for the kids in the class, they didn't have any sort of make one for everybody rule. They just give one to the kids you like. And I was the kid who never got, because I was always the new kid in class, and I was the kid who never got any. So. And I've never really been in a relationship at Valentine's Day, so. Anyhow, yeah, she died Valentine's, and then I ended up selling the house, and for the most part, my brother respected the agreement we had. I didn't quite get as much as I would if I got the full 78 I got, and then we split the estate half and half. But he didn't give he could my brother could have legally he could have pushed for an even split, because she never had a will, and she never wrote our agreement down in anything. So he just, honestly, he was quite good for taking my word on that. And wow, I just realized I've talked about. Well, yeah, these are all the influences to my mental health that. Basically, I never really knew I had depression until I was till my mom started talking about it when I was in my 30s, and my childhood, I was diagnosed with depression and potentially suicidal as a kid, and there's a major childhood trauma that I kind of suppressed until she talked about it. Well, I'll thought that'll be in the childhood, in the pre-adult depression years video. So, for me, it was just normal. Once I realized that I did have an issue, I was just okay. I realized that when I meet a new doctor, when I'm with a new doctor or a counselor or something, to try and get them to the way I feel of things is, if a normal person had my brain for 5 minutes, they'd be calling the suicide hotline. To me, that's just life. I've been working on changing that over the years, but still. I'm one of those people that has internal dialogue, so it's I have two tracks. One I actually think with, and then one that sort of just runs a constant repeating loop of, say, 20 minutes of you suck, you're garbage, just all that. I can push that down, or I can let it encompass my mind, but it's basically so now as to where I am now, I guess I should put into the description that about 18 and a half minutes, so I start talking about where I am in my depression now. So after my mom died and I had to move out of the place that we had, I moved into a cheesy motel and just I was working on selling on sorting out the last of the estate, and so I know how much money I had, and once that sorted out, that would have been about May of 2022, this 2022, and I knew how much I'd have and how much I could I had to buy this nice. Honestly, it's a nice little mobile home I'm in. It used up everything I had left, just about everything I had left. I could enjoy it a few months of decent, Nice groceries and stuff. The top shelf cereal, not the bottom shelf cereal, so to speak. I'm not eating cereal, but just for as a generalization. Anyway, during that time in the motel, it was just like that was just a continuation of living at the house with my mom. Just really dark and oh. But when I moved into this place, it was like I had my own place. It was my home. And I realized that's what I was really missing. Like right from day one, basically the first month living at that place, it was my mom made it clear to me that no, this wasn't our home. This was her home. So when I had moving in here, it was like, this is my place. And that was like, it was like a weight being lifted off, or I hear people talk about this, and it's like it's the weight being lifted off. It's like coming out of a fog, or you're just starting to emerge out of a cornfield or something. Well, maybe not only don't know what it's like to walk out of a cornfield or something, but it's like you just start seeing things better and clearer. And so now, like, so where I am now, it's when I came out of it at that time, like I didn't really notice it, but like right away my diet shifted. I wanted to get more exercise. I'm a smoker. I really want to quit smoking now. Like I've always hated smoking, but I really want to quit now. But fingers crossed I can get that done soon too. Because I'm kind of worried about like the whole. I know about smoking, like it's the whole hand to mouth thing that I will have problems with, and like that's. A lot of people say that's where the weight gain comes from. So yeah, when I like it. That's why I can pretty much say on July 1st is when the big change for me happened. If you've got mental health issues, and I don't know, like I still have depression. I know it's there, but it's nowhere near as bad because I have that experience of the either it was the way for me in my head, or just the whole stress of living with my mom, and it's nowhere near as bad, and it is more manageable just by myself. Like I've tried going, like I have gone to I am speaking with my GP, and when I can get it, like I have to get a special reference to go speak to a psychiatrist up at the hospital, instead of being like an inpatient, like to try and get some sort of outpatient treatment with them. He put me on what's called Effexor for a while, and I don't think it did anything. And there was a time that, like, I was on it for months, and there was a time there when I just, like, I had to go to the dentist, and I was really stressed about the dentist, and I forgot for a day or two, and I didn't have any effects. And then I spoke to my I started it up again, and the whole idea of putting pharmaceuticals into my body if they're not actually doing anything, like my GP and the psychiatrist both agreed that the Effexor didn't seem to be bonding with the receptors, so it was just putting stuff in my body for no real reason. They both said they would have preferred I kept doing it, but no. Anyway, so I'm still I still feel good, and I'm like that high from when I moved in. I know I'm out of it, but like I said, it's nowhere near as bad as it was. So I'm dealing a lot better with the negative mental tract. It's just build now. Now I feel like it's just building the habits of good, like better health. Like I've made videos about already talking exercising more. I don't, like I said, I don't feel comfortable saying I work out like until I lose, probably I get to at least around, I don't know. I don't want to put a number of weight when I feel so comfortable saying I work out, but I want to have a little less fatty filled flab and more empty skin flab. Hopefully. Um, I do have plans. I do have plans to keep working with my GP, and I'm seeing a counselor. He's a nice guy. Since my social circle is really limited, though, so I am kind of using the counselor as a regular someone else to give me feedback if I think medications are having some sort of effect on that I don't desire. But like if you need to, but that's the thing. You need to put in the work. You can't just expect something. You just can't. No one's gonna do like the YouTube's analytics say my audience is 100% men, 100% 45 to 54. So we all know nobody's gonna put in the work for us. Well, uh, thanks for listening to my rambling stream of consciousness. Remember, when life gives us L's, it's up to us to make the win.